Hi, everybody. Diana here at Heartfelt Creative. Welcome to Sew in Common Sunday. Hope everyone's had a great week. Yeah, it was a good week. I did, let's see, it was 16 miles in my running this week. I tend to work out 5 days a week. That's kind of my thing. I do dance, I do some weights, I do some jogging, I do some Pilates, I do a mixture of stuff. That way it's kind of always fresh for me. I don't like get bogged down in, oh no, I gotta go do this again. But about 3 months ago, because my health has been so much better, I took up running again. I've not run in, well, we'll just say years, and know that when I say years, I mean decades. I used to run a lot in school, back way back in high school. And I used to run barefoot. There was, I think she was either Austrian or Australian. I just can't remember anymore. It's been too many years. And she ran barefoot in the Olympics. And I thought, you know what? I could do that when I run, right? So I tried, and I had a massive, horrible fall. And I didn't break anything, but I was ripped up all one side of my body, and my feet were just a mess. And the doctor said, don't be stupid. Wear shoes when you run. He just said it just like that. Don't be stupid. Wear shoes when you run. Like I didn't understand the concept. And so he said, you know what? He said, there's so much other stuff you could do to exercise. Why bother with the running at that point? Because I was having some trouble with my back and stuff. So I haven't. I've done all other kinds of exercise. I love to lap swim. I mean, keeping active that way is just, it's good for your body, it's good for your mind, and I enjoy it. So about 3 months ago, I started running again, and I worked from just a mile up to 2 miles, up to 3 miles, and I was at 3 miles for a pretty good pace. This week, I started doing 5 miles again. So I'm pretty happy with myself. I'm pretty impressed with myself, to be quite honest. So that was kind of my week. That was my true success story for the week. I always like to look back at the week and go, what did I accomplish? What kind of success did I have this week? I started running 5 miles and doing it great. And I increased, because I also do some light weightlifting, keep good muscle tone and stuff like that. And I went up on those too. I'm up to like 20 pounds. So that was pretty good. And that's as high as I'll go. I don't need to go any higher, but I worked back up to that. So that was good. So now you know about that. So anyway, I hope you all had a great week. And this week I did my second block for the socialites quilt that I'm putting together. So let me just remind, for anybody who's not seen this video before, the socialites program comes to us from the Fat Quarter Shop. These blocks were made by different designers. They're ours for free to download and do. Over at the Fat Quarter Shop, they're running an actual sew along, and they are doing a very specific quilt layout. In fact, I'll try to remind myself next week. I'll bring a picture, or I'll show a picture of the layout that they're doing over there, because it's pretty. But I'm not doing that quilt. Of course not. Why would I? Why would I do anything that's the way it's supposed to be? That's not the way the brain works, right? So you can go over there. This link will be in the description. Every week that I do this particular, that I'm working on these particular blocks, I'll put the link in there so you can see it. So let me put that back over there. I still have to get page things for my patterns as I print them out. So last week I did Corey Yoder's Hardy block. I chose to start with that one, and I really liked it. I think it's a pretty, it's a sweet interpretation of a star block, because it's basically kind of a star with that sweet little heart in there. So I really liked it. And you can go back and watch last week's episode and see more about that if you want to. This week, I've chosen to do a block, and I'm going to turn the camera over here in a second so you can see it, by the one and only Come on, we all know her. Lori Holt, yay. It's block number 33. She calls it the Inspire block, and you'll see why it should be inspiring to all of us who sew and quilt. And Lori, of course, her business is Bee in My Bonnet. I love that name, Bee in My Bonnet. So this is, it's just back in, oh, actually, this would have come out 2 pages. I have my printer set up to do a front and a back, which I like so much better. And I explained to you last week kind of how I go about setting up my patterns and stuff when I'm getting ready to do them. Like they call their fabrics background and print. I call them fabrics A and fabric B because that's just how my brain works better. You do whatever your brain does. That's fine. You could call them, you know, baseball and basketball, you know, if that's what helps you remember. And then all of the different cut sizes have a letter assigned to them. So I use, let me grab them from over here. I use these little peel and stick letters. I just re-stick them back on there. I mean, I've been using the same one sheet forever now. But I just get those off of Amazon when I need them. Actually, I have 8 sheets of those in total. I've been on the first sheet for over a year, so they're going to last me a while because I just re-stick them on. But I cut everything out. I put a sticky on there with the letter so I know what piece it corresponds to when I'm going through the pattern. I talk about that in last week's episode too, so let's not reinvent the wheel, right? But this week, I'm going to talk to you about one of my all-time favorite products because it was really important that I use it in this week's block. So this one is called the Inspire block. Are y'all ready to see it? Let me flip the camera over. It's this one. It's a sewing machine. Of course, it's an Inspire block, right? I mean, we are all inspired to sew. Our very machine may be what inspires us. I know that sometimes when I sit down at my machine, I just think this machine does some pretty incredible stuff, and I can do it all here in my room. So this is this week's block. Again, only 2 fabrics. I'm keeping all of mine at 2 fabrics. You could really simply, let me pull up some of my trays of scraps and see if I can kind of work this out a little bit. You could make this scrappy. I don't have any long pieces, but like I could do, this should be the spool. I could have done that in a different color. You could do, let's see, you could do this bottom trim. You could piece together some blocks to do the bottom trim. Now, wouldn't that look cute? Let me just grab a couple more here. There's another one. And we'll just do this white one here then. But you could piece together some blocks at the bottom. That would be cute. I'll leave that sit there for a sec. You could make, of course, you could make this should be your hand wheel here on the side. You could make that in a different color. So you could do, you know, some different types of piecing to put these together. And it would be really simple to adapt it that way because all you need to do is look in your pattern, find out the length and the width of your piece that you want to change, and then divide it up. Like this one, I would probably divide up by 2-inch blocks, maybe. Excuse me. And so you could do that. But I'm keeping mine at these two fabrics in the blocks. And like I told you last week, my blocks are all going to be scrappy. I'm not doing them the same. Okay. So this week, I will tell you about this fabric first. In all honesty, I thought this was a Lori Holt fabric, and I've looked and looked and looked online, and I can't find it. And then I thought, well, maybe it's Bonnie and Camille. So to be honest, this print, this little daisy print, is just white on red. Looks kind of interesting on this camera. It looks like it's got yellow centers. It does not. It's all white. It's just red and white. But I love it. I think it's so pretty. I wish I could have found it because I would have bought good yard of it and put it in the stash. I really like it. So that's this one, and I apologize, I cannot tell you who the designer is. If you find this fabric, if you have this fabric and you know who the designer is, could you list it in the comments? Because then we'd all love to know. And then this beautiful little aqua with the white dot. Oh, I love this fabric. This is Bonnie and Camille. This is from their new collection called Sunday Stroll, which I just adore. And this aqua is so pretty. It looks a little green on the camera. It's really that just gorgeous, soft aqua color that's so popular now, which has always been, these two colors have always been my two favorite colors since I was a kid. I didn't realize that for a long time, but everything I drifted towards was one of these two colors. Interesting. And I have a friend who will not like my choices here because she does not like red. She would like the black. She just would do it in different colors. And that's the cool thing, right? You can do these blocks in any fabrics that you want. So let me talk to you a little bit about how this block came together, because more and more often we see blocks come together and we put together rows and then we sew the rows together. It makes putting blocks together pretty simple. And actually, in all honesty, that's exactly how this one came together. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. After you put each row together, then you just sew them together. So it came together really easy. That's not how this block came together. And you will see that there's kind of a reason behind that, in my opinion. And that's because this is what we call or what I've always called a figural block. This is a figure. This is something that we're making, and we're trying to represent it the way it would really look in the 3D world, we'll say, the sewing machine. So we call it a figure and a figural block, right? So this one comes together a little bit more like a puzzle, but in a very specific way. Lori Holt did a great job on this because she set this up as one big section here of blocks that come together, and then one big section here of blocks. Oops, here that come together, and then you sew those two together, and then you sew you sew this top here, and then you sew this, and so it kind of, it's almost more like it goes in a clockwise circle when you put it together instead of row by row by row. But it's very simple, and I will just tell you this right now, the pattern is very simple to follow, as are all of Lori Holt's patterns that I've ever seen. And again, this is the 9, it'll finish at 9 inches. It's about 9.5 now, but it will finish at 9 inches because that's what I'm using for all of my blocks. And the one product that I found super helpful, you guys, you hear me talk about this a lot, but I'm just going to talk about it again because it's worth it, is this product by Acorn called Precision Piecing Products. And what it is, you fill this with a liquid that is, let me grab it off my table back here. You fill it with this liquid, and I suppose you could say it's like a starch, but it's I don't think it is starch. I think it's not water. I think it's something else. I think it's a proprietary blend. Do you ever hear that word? Proprietary blend, like for vitamins and stuff. It's our proprietary blend. And so I think that's what that is. And when you first buy it, you buy this as a kit. So you get both pieces. And this is still, I've had this bottle for a few years and I still have this much left in it. And I use this all the time. And you can buy like a big refill bottle too. But what I want to show you is what it's for. So here's a, let's bring this down a little. There we go. This is quarter square triangle block, right? So what I've done here is, or what you do here is you set your seam. Let me, got my warm iron over there. So I've set my seam. Now, normally we just flip open and press. We're done, we go. But sometimes it's kind of difficult to get your seams to lay nice and flat. Well, precision piecing tool to the rescue. Let me bring in my pressing mat here because I'm going to have to press here in a second. So after you've set your seam, there we go. You take this pen, and it's got this kind of a felt tip on it, and it's kind of chiseled. You can see that. And all you do is lightly, you can see the fluid is coming out onto the seam, and you like a marker, you just mark across your seam there. And then you open it up and you press. And look at how nice and flat that seam is. Now on this one, you could, you know, for those of you who press open, you can use it for that as well. Just start it open a little bit, put your piecing product down the center. And there we go. And look at how nice and flat that is. Really beautiful. So it was very helpful this week on this block because, as you can see back here, there are a lot of, well, actually, I should just show it to you. There are a lot of blocks that have little bitty snowballs. This whole block has 3 corners that are snowballed. This one, and this one. Over here, this one does. And so, and then you've got a lot of little things coming together at points. So getting these to lay nice and flat, and I got them to lay perfectly flat. I did not have to do press open, but I got them to lay nice and flat, was flipping them and pressing them after I used that precision turning, that precision piecing product. Really helped with these tiny snowballed corners that make your, because you need these, right? You need these and you need these because that's what helps turn what is a rectangular block into a shape. And so, you know, whenever you're doing figural blocks, you'll probably end up doing some snowballs. And that precision piecing pen turned out really great and very, very helpful. So let me flip my camera back over. So that was this week's block, the Inspire block, or the sewing machine block. Lori calls it the Inspire block, so I will. That's what it is. But it is a sewing machine, and I just loved it. It was fun to make. Literally from cutting to end took me 15-20 minutes to make that block. It wasn't difficult at all. Again, Bonnie and Camille, and I don't know this one, but if you can find this one, or if you have it and you know what it is, please leave us a comment. We'd love to know. All right, everybody, that's Sew in Common Sunday for this week. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you were inspired to go download some of those patterns and put together your own quilt, or follow along with what they're doing, or follow along with the ones I'm making. Doesn't matter. Until next week, have a great new week to come. Have a great Monday, and we'll see you next Sunday. Bye for now.